Hey Raleigh, paying too much for your wireless bill is not cool, which is why millions of people have switched to Sprint this past year. To celebrate, you can save 50% on most Verizon rate plans when you switch to Sprint. All this on the Sprint network, which is faster plus more reliable and has better coverage than ever. Why wouldn't you switch today? Hurry, visit a Sprint store or Sprint.com to learn more. Limited time only, offer coverage not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, surcharges, add-on, and premium content. Subject to new line port-in, activation fee, and credit. See website for eligible plans. Savings until March 31st, 2018 after pay full amount. Restrictions apply.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show. Covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
Want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Glad to be back. Schedule's kind of changed up. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. We tried to cut for a couple weeks there to have the Super Show, and my schedule is just not lining up where I can do it effectively, efficiently. What word I really want to use? Probably efficiently. And so we weren't having the 110 Nation Sports Show on Thursday nights with Racing with Big Sweat going on. And on top of that, I didn't really want to compete slot for slot, and that kind of was, kind of how it was going. If we were going to do both on Thursday nights, so we weren't doing shows on Thursday night, and we had an opportunity to give somebody in the company a chance to have their own show and be more involved with the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network to the house. And so we decided Friday nights, so much going on Friday nights with kids and everything else, that it was probably the best interest, one, for me to back off the Friday show because of everything I have going on, to include I got to be up at about 4:30 in the morning on Saturday mornings, and be able to let someone else have an opportunity to step in and see what their passion and their dedication to the 110 in sports it was all about. And so we got hot laps with stats on Friday night, 8 o'clock. So the way we got our schedule right now, and we got a guest in the studio, and I'm getting ready to bring her in. But the way our schedule is going to be playing out right now is we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 110 Nation Sports Show at 9 p.m., Racing with Big Sweat Thursday nights, 9 p.m., Hot Laps with Stats Friday nights, 8 p.m., and then, of course, we got Happy Hour Drive Saturdays at noon. And it's kind of what our schedule is looking at right now. So just bear with us as we're back. We had some let me go ahead and get my guest in here anyway. For joining us for about the first hour of the show is Shorty. How you doing tonight, Shorty?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. But glad to be back on the air. I know we missed last week due to financial situations. Shorty was in between jobs, and so we had to wait for her checks to start coming in and everything else. We had to make some cuts, and so one of those cuts last week involved us being able to do the show. So glad to be back this week. Glad to know that we're going to be back and be strong.
Love how you blame
Bring
me
you
for
on
that.
I blame you. And for those listening, I do not blame Shorty at all. As a matter of fact, I was trying to get her out of her previous job sooner than she did get out of the job. She was actually waiting out to try to find another job before she did have to be able to walk away from the job that she did walk away. And her boss was a total ass and got to the point that was all that could be tolerated, and she went ahead and walked out before she had the other job or another job lined up. But she was looking. She had interviews. It was one of those processes that, we kind of needed to find the right match and, the right compensation to make it work. And Shorty was doing everything she could, and unfortunately her boss didn't play along with it and let her be able to, it wasn't really his option. Shorty walked out, but he didn't make it where she was able to at least make it so she found another job. So, but by no means was it her fault or or is there any hard feelings because of it. So I don't want anybody to think that, but it was ultimately what cost us having shows last week, though. My phone was one of the things that got sacrificed, and it was one of those things that's a luxury item, not a necessity. I think that's why the whole Obama phones really irked me, because those are all luxury items. And yes, the taxpaying dollars go towards phones that are luxury items. I have no problem if it came down to it and we were paying for landlines, because that it is a necessity to have a telephone line. But to have a cell phone, that's a luxury item. I would feel better paying for a line that only gets used to local calls and emergencies and a $5 phone that you can plug in versus paying someone a cell phone bill. I'm sorry, but ain't nobody paying my cell phone bill, and I don't feel that I need to be paying other people's cell phone bills. I'm just sorry. That rubs me kind of wrong. But anyway, we ain't come on here to talk politics or talk about jobs. We come on here to talk about some sports, and so I guess we kind of need to jump into a little bit of that while we got you on the show tonight.
Why do we have me on the show tonight?
To hear a nice voice, have somebody at the other end. I guess we could start off talking about NBA, as we're down to our Final Four.
Talk about how Golden State and Cleveland are about to get a rematch.
There you go. We'll talk about it. And Shorty went with that, and it's that way because her aunt's a Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and she started throwing elbows because Shorty's loyalty falls to the Cleveland Cavaliers and to me, and so she decided she was going to start throwing some elbows to get a little conflict going, which didn't really pan out because her aunt ended up saying she thinks that the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to choke anyway, but. It was fun to be able to say a couple words, but surprised, yes, I'm surprised Oklahoma's sitting in the playoffs still. I honestly thought San Antonio was much better than what they end up being, especially after that first game, and it was a beatdown. They were up by 40 points at one point, and to watch that kind of go in the opposite direction from that point and watch Oklahoma put the series together that they put together, but. Sorry, Oklahoma City fans that are listening, you're not playing a very the oldest. I mean, hell, San Antonio had 2 members of their team that were over 40 years old out there on the court. So this is a much younger team, and you're not going to wear them down, and they are probably one of the scariest, if not the scariest teams in the playoffs, and the Golden State Warriors. So I have Golden State winning it in 5, 6 games max, but I'm counting more on 5 games to be this series. I don't know. It took Westbrook and Durant a lot of energy. There was a lot of energy consumed in order to get past San Antonio, and with the youthfulness of Golden State and the fact that Oklahoma had to, and more specifically Durant and Westbrook, had to consume as much energy as they did to beat a very good San Antonio team, I just don't think that Oklahoma will be able to drag this out. Obviously, the longer they can drag out the series, the better for them. I honestly still don't think they have a shot. I don't care if it got drug out to 7 games. I still think it's Golden State's series, and I just don't think it'll go that long. But obviously, the longer they can drag it out, the more they can wear down Golden State. Golden State's had an opportunity to rest. Golden State's a younger team. Your best opportunity is to wear this team down. Find a way to wear them out. I just don't see it happening. So.
Well, I hope Cleveland. Who's Cleveland play?
Cleveland plays Toronto, and my prediction on this side of it was when I was talking to Sabone earlier today. This is where I got all this from and my thoughts. I have a feeling Cleveland.
You got all your thoughts from Sabone?
No, that's where I put my thinking together and got my thoughts together. He thinks both series will drag out a little bit longer than I expect them to drag out. I think Cleveland wins, either sweeps it, maybe 5 games max. Toronto's not a good team. Toronto's just a young team, and they might end up giving Cleveland a little bit of fit in one game and be able to steal one. But I don't see Cleveland. I don't see Cleveland letting this series drag out. I think Cleveland goes in with the same mentality. They went into Detroit and they went into Atlanta. Let's get this done and over with. Let's give ourselves the most opportunity, or the best opportunity, to be as rested and healthy as possible and fully staffed as possible. And I just don't think Toronto's deep enough or good enough at all to stop Cleveland from making this a very short series.
All right. So what do you think about the Warriors and OKC? Do you think the Warriors are going to sweep them, or?
No, 5. I think it goes 5, 6 games at most, Golden State. I could see it going 5. I could see Oklahoma at least winning 1 at home. Maybe 2. I don't think they'll win at the Oracle Arena. I just don't see them winning Golden State. But I could see them winning 1, possibly getting 2 at home, with a lot of fan support, and it just depends on how crazy it gets. But I wouldn't be surprised if it just went 5 games.
See, I'm kind of hoping that it goes at least 6 games. And then
I would love it. I would love to go 7 games. I would love the opportunity for. Yeah, I would love Cleveland to have an opportunity to get all that rest, and whoever they got to play ends up having to, go 7 games. I would love it. Well, I say that, but in all actuality, what I've been telling everybody is I want both teams to be 100%, no injuries, both teams there, and I want to see Cleveland and Golden State duke it out. I think that this could truly be a fun slugfest to watch. But I wanted both teams to be 100% because, as Cleveland fans, we get to say, well, the only reason you beat us last year is because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were out. That's the only reason. If we would have had our 3 big, and every Cleveland fan has said that, and every Cleveland fan will continue to say that. I want this year to be no excuses. On either side, whoever wins it, which, of course, I'm going to say Cleveland wins it, but no matter who wins it, I want there to be no excuses on either side of the ball. And so as much as I would like to see Golden State and OKC drag it out of 7 games so that Cleveland is rested, if it does happen, I want it to be an injury-free 7 games. If there's any possibilities, then no. I want it to end as quick as possible for both series. That way we get 100% participation on both sides of the ball in the finals. That way it cannot be thrown in anybody's face. Well, we want it because, or you guys want it because of this, or you guys want it because of that. It comes down to strictly who was the better team.
I agree. Very, very much agreed. That I kind of hope they both sweep. So wait a minute. If they both sweep, does the playoffs start sooner, or the playoffs have a certain date and that's that?
They can shorten it. I think there's a flex schedule because I know that they were talking about Cleveland possibly starting Sunday if the Miami and Toronto series would have ended either a 5 or 6 games. I can't remember. So I think that if both teams sweep, then yes, I think that they would pick up either where Game 6 or Game 7 would have been if it had been drugged out. I mean, you got to figure if they go 4 games, they're going to at least have 2 days off before the next series starts, if that's the case anyway. So I think that they would replace Game 7. I think is how it works. But either way, getting full rest and having a chance to get rusty is not necessarily a good thing anyway. So, I mean, if both teams sweep, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing because both of them would probably have a day or 2 off, and then they would be right into the next series, and it would be even, play field anyway. But this way that they ain't, got rusty and relaxed too much, especially with all the hype around the media. And there's a possibility they wouldn't start the series early because of it being the finals and because of the media and because of everything else that goes along with that.
That's why.
That might have been only something that happened in the earlier series if they were swept and the next set of teams were ready to go. But so with everything going on with that, there's a good possibility they wouldn't start early. But I just.
That's why I'm fascinated. I didn't think they would because of all that. But I kind of hope they do. Both teams do sweep it and they leave it where the playoffs start is where the playoffs start. No changing it. And then both teams will have enough rest, and then they can duke it out, all rested up, and we'll see who's better. We will show them who's better, or should I say?
I don't know. It's going to take a lot. It's going to, last year J.R. Smith fell off the face of the earth out there in the arc, and granted this year he set a new franchise record for Cleveland, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have been setting record after record with 3-pointers in the playoffs, but it's going to take J.R. Smith has to play at the level he's been playing at all season, and more specifically playoff long. LeBron, he's going to have to play like he has never played before. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love are going to, have to play the roles to perfection that they are supposed to be playing, to include Kevin Love rebounding, Kevin Love 3-pointers, Kyrie Irving assists and 3-pointers. It's going to take 4 almost perfect games for the Cleveland Cavaliers in order to beat Golden State. Now, Golden State, on the other side, I think you could probably get away with 4 games at probably about 90% and still be able to be victorious. I think Golden State's just a little bit better, especially with that 3 ball. I mean, you had the number 1 and number 2 3-point shooter in the league with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson this year. And I know that a lot of talk doesn't get talked about when we talk about 3-pointers like Klay Thompson, but he was the number 2. He made the second most this year. So it's Draymond Green with all those triple doubles. You can count on Igalaga, how do you pronounce the last name? You can count on him showing up at least one game. I mean, he was MVP of the finals last year, even though he was the 6th man. Harrison Barnes is going to come out one game and at least, do some destruction. So that team is so daggone deep, and it's scary sometimes. So.
Sorry, I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it was.
See if your phone is all the way up. I'm not sure it's up all the way. You're talking kind of low.
It wasn't.
Much better.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
All right. My bad.
I mean, I could hear you, but it just wasn't very loud, and I had already checked the volume on my phone to make sure, so I knew it wasn't my end. Golden State and Oklahoma City are in action right now with about 4.5 minutes left in the first. Golden State is up 15-11, but close game, very interestingly close. We're so used to Golden State already being out to a 10 to 15 point lead in the first quarter, and to see Golden State only up by 4. Golden State actually is 0 for 4 from 3-point range, which has obviously got a lot to do with that, only being up by 4 points. So obviously we'll keep an eye on Golden State throughout the show and see how they do from downtown. But 0 for 4 to start off, not the traditional Golden State 3-point shooting that we're used to.
Definitely not. Does it save you
Yeah.
them?
The Miami Heat are reportedly worried Chris Bosh might never play again. We had tough hits for the Golden State. Right there we go. Wow, the Miami Heat. Of course, with his blood clots and his condition, and obviously health is going to overcome any thought to him playing. And obviously throughout the contracts that he has had, the money is not really a concern with Chris Bosh. He has made his fair share of millions throughout his NBA career. But the Miami Heat 2015-16 season ended on Sunday, prompting the organization to turn its attention to next year and how to tackle the issue that has had the most significant impact on the last 2 Heat campaigns. Chris Bosh really wants to play the NBA basketball again, but after watching concerns related to blood clots prematurely in both his 2014-15 and 2015-16 season, and after reportedly receiving feedback from multiple doctors suggesting that the reoccurrence of blood clots following a return to the court could be catastrophic for the 32-year-old 11-time NBA All-Star, the Heat's decision makers are now facing the possibility that such a return might never come, according to Brian Windhurst of ESPN.com. I noticed the tough hits for the Miami Heat. They had planned on having him quite a few years still yet to come, and be there to help develop the young players such as Whiteside for the Miami Heat. And some of their moves last off season was and thought that he would be there for a while. And this has got to be tough. We've seen this out of a couple of different athletes. Brian Vickers being the other one. The blood clots and his health issues have constantly had him pulled out of race cars, and it has made it hard for any race team to sign him because of the fact that they can't get sponsorships, so you don't know how long Brian Vickers will be able to race or how many races he'll be able to participate in the season. Now, he's got an opportunity a few times to step into the 14 car with Stuart Haas Racing with with Tony Stewart having the injuries he had. But obviously with Tony Stewart being back, Brian Vickers no longer, has that opportunity. But big hit for Miami, and it will be interesting how they move forward with this, and how much more advice and how much more in depth they will go into this before they make a decision on whether or not they're going to hold on to Chris Bosh, or if it's finally a time to say, what, we got to take our losses, and we're going to have to move on and prepare for our next season and in our future.
Yeah, it's a lot of risk that I don't think either parties are really going to take. Or
Yeah,
if I was.
It definitely has got to be hard because, neither party is wanting to separate. If it was one or the other or both, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But Miami does not want to lose Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh does not want to leave. He's happy in the circumstance and situation that he's got. So, that's got to be really tough. And obviously, they're all going to, wade the waters as lightly as they can and, get the best advice and the best expertise they can get. So, but that's got to be tough. Karl Anthony Towns is your unanimously voted Rookie of the Year. Back-to-back for Minnesota Timberwolves is Andrew Wiggins of the Minnesota Timberwolves was your Rookie of the Year last year. Now Karl Anthony Towns follows that up. That Minnesota team, give it a couple more years, and they could be something rather scary as these young players, one, not only get to know each other, but also get the experience of playing against the NBA versus college ball. And this Minnesota Viking, this Minnesota Timberwolves team could be something rather scary. Oh, goodness. Unanimous. Since Karl Anthony is only the fifth player to take every nod. Damian Lillard, Blake Griffin, David Robinson, and Ralph Sampson are the only other, only the other four players to ever have a, unanimously. Wow, why am I There you go. I'm gonna stop even trying to say that. I've been looking at the word right in front of me. I'm still wanting to jack that word up unanimously. There you go. That's a little bit better. To be selected Rookie of the Year. So congratulations to Karl Anthony Towns, and one hell of a job. There were some other decent rookies out there this year. So
I sense a little butthurtness with that. Did you expect it to go somewhere else?
Do I now?
Or did you expect it to go to somebody else since there were better rookies out there this year?
Nah, I have no problem with. I mean, there was some other decent rookies out there, but I have no problem with him being Rookie of the Year or unanimously being Rookie of the Year. He definitely helped. He definitely helped Minnesota work on turning their franchise around. So
yeah,
I ain't seen no reports of anybody else saying anything or making any smart comments. Making any smart comments. So well, everybody's got their comments. I mean, it's like Steph Curry was the unanimous decision for MVP. I don't have a problem with Steph Curry being MVP, but I don't think it should be unanimous. The unanimous choice. I think that you look at LeBron. If Cleveland doesn't have LeBron, Cleveland is not having the season that they're having, or going to or be in the Eastern Conference Championships. And so I'm not saying he should be the MVP, but there should have been votes thrown his way. You could say the same thing about Westbrook and all the triple doubles he had this year, and and how he's helped carry this Oklahoma City Thunder team on their back, on his back. So I mean, there's a couple players that I felt that was deserving of the MVP award, and so and you have fans out there, and I think it's funny. There's actually fans that actually think Westbrook or LeBron James should have won MVP. I wouldn't go to that stretch, my thoughts ain't that far out there. But I also at the same time do believe that there should have been some votes that went to LeBron James and Westbrook. I just don't think it should have been unanimous.
Agreed.
NASCAR went to, what? Go ahead.
What?
Oh, I thought you said, like you were ready to say something.
No.
No. NASCAR went to Dover this weekend.
And
I have a
what
customer.
happened with the big one?
The big one. There was a big one. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I have a customer that comes in. He's part of a NASCAR pool, and he's gotten to the point that he's kind of hesitant to come in and tell me his numbers, because usually he doesn't like my response. And usually my response is usually pretty dead on. And that's why he gets aggravated with it, because he'll come in and tell me his numbers. I'll tell him, okay, this is my thought on all the drivers that it's a possibility his number could fulfill. And he comes back in Monday and he just shakes his head like, yeah, you called it exactly how it went. Well, this week he had 0 and he had 4. I told him, I kind of felt those numbers. I mean, 0, that gives you, I was like, as much as I like to see Danica win, I'm not going to count on Danica, but I said that gives you Matt Kenseth, and the way that Joe Gibbs Racing has been for most of this season, and to the fact that Eric Jones driving the Joe Gibbs Racing car in the Xfinity Series 1, I like your 0 and 4. I mean, that gives you Kevin Harvick. I mean, that's one hell of a driver. That leaves you Tony Stewart. I'm not going to count on Tony Stewart, but there's Tony Stewart. You got Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, which, realistically is not going to win the race. But the 0 and 4 I was feeling. For those that are curious, 0 finished first and a 4 finished third. He was that close. There was one car in between, and that was Kyle Larson, with Kenseth getting first and Kevin Harvick finishing fourth. And Chase Elliott was, I believe, top 5. So that other 4 was not too far-fetched as well either. Which I don't know if a first and third wins him anything. I know 1-2 would have won him, I think, like $500 or something, I think, or it might have even been more than that. But I told him that I could see that 0-4 finishing, and almost did it. But the big one, something happened with Jimmy Johnson in his restart, and was unable to get the car to go into third or fourth. And even after that, it wasn't like he just missed it. He could never get it into third or fourth. And something just happened. He said it's the first time that it's ever happened in his career. But what ended up happening is when everybody else was trying to get up to speed, Jimmy Johnson was on the front row in second place and could not get it into third gear, and everybody behind him started piling up to the point that they started pushing each other, and of course that started spitting everybody out. And 18 cars were involved with that wreck late in the race with the issue with Jimmy Johnson. So the big one that a lot of people weren't expecting. They weren't expecting 18-car pile-up on a 1-mile track. Took out or caused a lot of damage to a lot of great cars on Sunday afternoon. But Jimmy Johnson ended up causing the big one, and I don't know. It's just weird. Like it was just one of those things that you just didn't expect to happen. And didn't expect it to happen that late in the race. And I tell you what, I think Kyle Larson earned a lot of respect from a lot of people this weekend. He had his opportunity. And, he complimented Matt Kenseth after the race and said that, Matt, other than a couple incidences and referencing to the Joey Logano thing, that Matt Kenseth is one of the cleanest drivers out there. And Kyle Larson had his opportunity. Kyle Larson could have pushed the envelope, probably could have dumped Matt Kenseth and got away with it. Nothing that would have got him, in trouble. It just legitimately would have just bounced into him. but really could have pushed the envelope and possibly could have put himself in the chase with the win. And yet he decided to drive clean. He decided to do it in the most professional manner, which cost him the win, got him a second place. Once again, finishing runner-up. But I think all in all, when the day was done, I think the respect that was gained by the other drivers, by the fans, by anybody affiliated or associated with NASCAR probably outweighed what that win would have done, meant. I mean, yeah, it would have been his first win. Yes, it would have got him into the chase. But I think, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Kevin Harvick that they got third. It was Chase Elliott that got third. Kevin Harvick, I think, finished 15th. I don't know why I got that mixed up. But it was still a 0-4. I knew it was 1-3. But I think that the respect that Kyle Larson, there's going to be a time, just like there was a time after Joey Logano did what he did to Matt Kenseth, that Matt Kenseth finally paid him back. Somebody finally stepped up and said, you know what, we're tired of Logano doing this. This is same thing is going to happen to Kyle Larson. People are going to take notice of how he drives other drivers and how he drove Matt Kenseth and what he could have done to get his first victory and chose not to. There's going to be a time that it comes down to, and that other driver is going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and it's going to pay dividends, and it always does. But the respect that it was gained this weekend for Kyle Larson, he was already a highly respected driver and very highly spoken of already. This just only,
and just a little.
He is. I feel like Shrek when I'm standing next to him, like this just big orb or whatever. Like every year we've gone to the Chip Ganassi event, I've got an opportunity, to kind of meet him, talk to him for a second, and take a picture. And I just feel like this very large person, and it's funny because. And you and I have had this conversation. And as a matter of fact, I've had this conversation probably a handful of times. For those that are listening to the show, and obviously can't see it, I'm like 6 foot tall, and Shorty's like 4'11", 5-foot-ish, right in that ballpark figure. And that's why I call her Shorty, and that's essentially why almost everybody calls her Shorty, because a lot of people don't even know her name at this point because they just know her as Shorty. But I don't pay attention to the difference in size. I really don't. Our routine usually consists of one of us works, one is babysitting, the other one works, the other one's babysitting or watching the kids, however you want to say it. And then at the end of the night, we sit on the couch. I have my spot, and then her spot is right up there next to me. And then we lay in bed, and the way we lay, it's just like a perfect fit. Like her head is my head is directly behind her head. I don't ever think about her back, that her feet don't go all the way down to my feet, because I like my warm feet. She likes her warm feet, so we don't do the whole feet thing, because usually one person might have cold feet, and we just don't do that. So I never think about it. And so the only time that I ever really pay attention to the height difference is when I see there's really only one picture that we have that really shows the difference in height. All the rest of them are pretty much either we're sitting or we're both hunched down in the picture, or it's a group picture or something. So I never honestly ever really noticed the difference. And so it's kind of the same with Kyle Larson. Like, I don't really pay attention to it when we've gone to these events and he's right there in front of my face. It's more the fact that, like, those have been pictures that are either, been my cover page or on Facebook, or I see, then I kind of really see the difference between myself and Kyle Larson, and I feel really, like, weird because I'm just, like, humongously, like, 3 times the size bigger. I'm probably a good foot taller, and I'm probably a good 100 pounds heavier, at least 100 pounds heavier than him. And so I just feel like this orb, this Shrek standing next to him, so it's funny.
He probably thinks you're going to eat him.
Do you ever pay attention? Do you ever pay attention, or does it ever, like, the height difference between us? Like, I've never asked you. Like, I've told you, I don't ever pay attention.
I notice the freaking height difference all the time. I'm the shorter one. Of course I'm going to notice the height difference. I'm the one who has to stand on my dang tippy toes.
I don't know. I didn't even know you realized you even stand on it. Like, I just really don't pay attention. Eric said, we're good 12 inches different, and I think every time you kiss, you look up, so I really don't pay attention to it, because it's not like, even though I'm looking down, I really don't think about it, because it's already like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess 12 inches, that's a lot that you really not ever notice. Like, I guess it's a good thing. I guess it's a good thing I really don't never pay attention to. I think about it. There's one other time that I did notice, and that was one of the times that we were at yesterday, and we were dancing. And it was more of the fact because, well, one, because you had your head, like, laying against my chest. So, I mean, obviously I could notice, like, I could lay my head on top of your head. But I think it was also because there wasn't many people on the dance floor at that particular moment. So I was just sitting there thinking, I wonder how this looks. Because I'm like 12 inches taller than her kind of scenario. But outside of that, I guess I really just don't never pay no mind. I never think about it.
So it's that time.
I know. Some people got to get up somewhere they gone early. Well, I guess it's really not.
I can't help it.
Because it's really not the fact that you got to get up early. It's the fact that you're going to bed early. But let's be honest. I got up both mornings. You got up the first 2 mornings to make sure you got up. Then I got up the next 2 mornings even earlier, so I had to go to work. And then I got up this morning with you, and I got to get up tomorrow morning to make sure you're up. So I'm getting up every morning. And yet I'm here until 11 o'clock tonight. The fact that you thought that you get up early is because you got to go to bed early. Somebody needs their sleep.
Yep. That would be me.
And those out there listening, when I mean sleep, she sleeps.
I like sleep.
Like,
I like sleep.
12 hours kind of sleep. Like, I've had to send customers that I really didn't even know that have never been to my house beating on our door. Because I've called for 2 hours straight, and she's supposed to have been to work 30 minutes ago. Sleep. There's been days when she slept at noon, sleep. Like, she sleeps.
I don't know why. I think I have something wrong with me. Like, honestly.
Me, I like my sleep, but if I got to get up, I'm up. Like, there's not having to send somebody. I can lay down for 30 minutes, and Shorty can testify as many times that I would bounce on Friday and Saturday nights. We would get to bed about 4 o'clock, and I was back up 4:30, 4:45, and out the door going to work. And if I got to go on 30 minutes sleep, I'll go on 30 minutes sleep. I like to have sleep, but I'm also the one that's in the house that kind of sets the tone of the day, so I'm the one that kind of gets up with, kind of gets everybody else going, and lets get the kids fed. I mean, they'll be up hella early if you let them, and there are a lot of mornings they are, and they'll be up before but I'm kind of what gets everybody kind of going for the day in whatever direction it is. So there's not too much sleeping in for Mr. CJ Sports.
Thank God somebody has to get up, though.
Oh, goodness. Got to make sure I shout out to a couple people. First of all, I got to thank Snafu Seasoning. You can check them out at snafuseasoning.com. That's SNAFU seasoning.com. They are the official sponsor of Racing with Big Sweat Thursday night, 9 p.m. Also got to thank Fitness for Life.
No, Fit for Life.
Yeah, Fit Life. I say Fitness for Life. Fit for Life. You check them out on Facebook, Fit for Life. Check them out over at www.fitforlife as well. Great prices, 24/7, 365. I know our gym's getting ready to move about 5 minutes closer to actually where I stay at. They're going to move into the Walmart shopping center when they get done with that. According to my resources, they're going to have showers and everything, and it's supposed to be really nice. So looking forward to that. But check them out for the closest location to you. Also, one of their front desk people, Chitana. We're going to be missing her. She is getting ready to leave the gym. She's actually her husband is being deployed either to or stationed either Vancouver, somewhere in Washington. Is it Vancouver or Washington?
I have no idea.
It's Vancouver, Washington. I know it's either Washington. I know she said Vancouver, but I thought that was only Canada, but maybe that was the Washington. Somewhere else that is kind of the same place or same area, or Miami. As much as not wanting to go to Miami, out of the three choices, that might end up being their choice of duty station. I think the other one was Portland. But I seen it on Facebook earlier today, and as a matter of fact, when I was at the gas station, I ran into her and asked her, if they found out. And so they will be leaving Fit for Life, obviously, but we want to wish them the best of luck.
Wait. Who? Amina?
No, Chitana. I think it's like Chitana, the white chick with the short black hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know who that is. It's okay.
Way back in the day, when we was Steve and I were the gym, her and her husband, we would all work out together and talk and everything else. But and then she started working there. But make sure you guys check them out, Fit for Life. Also, Friday night. As the details have come in for the Friday night show. I had it pulled up, and then they went away. So I'm about to pull it up again. Longy and Shorty. See, now that's what they're calling. Friday's guests are Ann Young, Bronson Speedway owner, and David Onig, you say pronounce that, co-owner and driver for Dangerous Dave Super Pro Truck Team and a new venture this year, road racing. Make sure you guys check that out Friday night at 8 p.m. Hot Laps with Stats. Great show. Had a great time last Friday night hanging out, listening on that show. So looking forward to this Friday as well. Blah, blah, blah.
I don't say blah, blah, blah.
I don't say blah, blah, blah. Wrapping up your top 10 for the AAA 400 for autism from Dover. Like I said, Kansas won. Kansas ended up winning the race. Kyle Larson second, Chase Elliott third. Driving the top 10, though, Casey Kane with an impressive finish got fourth. Kurt Busch finished fifth. Brad Keselowski sixth. Denny Hamlin seventh. I saw his car number in parentheses. I was about to say 11th instead of seventh. Ryan Blaney with another strong finish. I'll tell you what, his rookie team finishing strong with an 8th place finish. Mark Truex 9th. Trevor Bayne 10th. Another great finish there for that Roush Fenway car. Other notables: Danica Patrick 13, Cliff Hoyer 12. Ricky Stenhouse actually did not wreck or wreck anybody as part of that 18-car pileup, though I did see that. 14th, like I said earlier, Kevin Harvick 15th, David Reagan 17th, a nice finish. Chris Butcher, a nice finish. 18th, Landon Castle 19th. Other notables headed towards the rear of the field. Carl Edwards finished 28th. Kyle Busch 30th. Dale Jr. 32nd. Tony Stewart 34th. All the notables that I have finishing yesterday's race. Halfway through the second, Golden State is still up. Still a close game, 39-32 for those that are curious. Still not a lot of three-pointers, though. Golden State started off 0 for 4. They are 2 for 7 right now, but that's it. Almost a quarter and a half, and only 7 attempts at a three-pointer. That's kind of low for the Golden State Warriors. I'm kind of surprised with that. Also killing Oklahoma with the 7 turnovers versus the only 2 turnovers for Golden State. And Golden State just made another three-pointer, going 3 for 8 at this point. So
better than 2 for 7.
That is definitely true.
Yeah. It is a very true statement.
Very true, very true. Shorty likes to speak the truth.
So, for all of your listeners out there, I like to tell a sad story.
You want to what?
We are tell a sad story. We're gonna get rid of our doggy, Mr. Buddy.
Did we find a person?
I have a few potential people. It's actually funny. I didn't tell you the story because I don't think you weren't here. You haven't been here since I found this out. I've been talking to this lady. Her name is Allison. She's, they're married. They have 2 kids. They live in Carolina Lakes. And they've been looking for a family dog, or they've been thinking about getting a family dog. I was like, oh, well, he's, perfect. I mean, nothing really wrong, or I just don't have time. And she was like, oh, okay. And, we were talking, blah, blah. And then she was like, hey, by the way, what's his name? I told her, I was like, oh, his name's Buddy, He answers to it. She said, oh, my God, wow. I was like, what's up? And she was like, my husband, he said when we were going, if we got a dog, we were going to name him Buddy. I was like, it must be destiny. Take my dog.
That's really cool.
Isn't it though?
Yeah, we're gonna miss Buddy.
Yeah, we're gonna miss him, but with the kids starting school and me starting this job, he's just gonna be stuck in the cage all the time, and I just don't want him to have to live that life. She's a stay-at-home mom, so.
I mean, Buddy's a great dog. Buddy potty trained. Buddy will let you know someone comes in the house that normally ain't in the house.
Or if you're of different races.
Yeah. Well, he barks at me every time I walk in too. So
because
if I walk in
it's
late
dark
night,
outside
like tonight,
usually.
when I get out here,
It's dark outside. He can't see you. That's why he's racist. Don't deny it. You cannot deny it. The only reason he barks at you is because it's dark outside and he can't see you. He can't see your color. That's what it is. I'm sorry, but he's barked. Huh?
Wonder how Buddy would react. He did the same thing to Cammy and CJ, and they both like barked at them every time they came in. So I don't know. I just know he's a good dog.
Never mind.
Unfortunately, we don't have a fenced gate or fenced-in yard, and unfortunately, with all the kids and both our jobs and the show and everything else, that Buddy spends way too much time in his crate, cage, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's big. Don't get us wrong. It's not like he can't move around. He can move quite around quite a bit. We got like the biggest one you can possibly get. It could take almost a whole recliner spot. Like it's even bigger now, almost a love seat size.
No, if you I was about to say, if you turn it sideways, it's the same. It's almost, it might be like 3 inches off the size of a love seat, and it's tall.
Yes, I mean, he's got plenty of room. So, but we just don't want that lifestyle for him. He's going to be a full size dog and everything else, and we have no plans of moving anywhere for about another year, and then something we would consider once we move is having animals. We want to have someone that's got some land and got some space and everything else. But where we're at now and where we was before, it just kind of fell in our lap before. It was given to us out of someone else. It being dumped on someone else, and so we kind of took it in. And at that time it was a small dog. It was a puppy. It was, I don't even think it was the full 6 weeks at that point yet. So it is one of those things that unfortunately we weren't able to move into something bigger by the time it got to the size, it's gotten to be, and just life and everything else. And we just want to, provide an opportunity for it to be happy and have this room and get its exercise. And so unfortunately, but at the same time, we want to do what's best for the dog. So.
Yeah. I'll miss my buddy.
Yeah.
I was telling Elizabeth about it, about how we were gonna get rid of him yesterday, and I swear he understood me because he went and laid. He was standing in his cage and I was talking to her, and he went all the way to the corner of the cage and just laid down in his. Then later on, I let him out of his cage, and he was walking around the house or whatever. I was sitting on the couch, and then he comes walking up to me, and puts his feet in my lap, and just climbs up in my lap. I'm like, this dog had to have heard what we were doing. I'll miss him.
You have to find a new home.
Yeah. This man will miss him.
Tell you what, he was probably one of the easiest dogs to have ever potty trained. He was really simple. I mean, once we got him something to stay in. At first, no, because at first we just kind of had him in the kitchen, and it was kind of free roam the kitchen, so it was that part sucked. But once we got him something to sleep in, and he was enclosed at nighttime, he stopped going in the house and stopped going in the didn't go in the cage maybe once or twice. Once that happened, it became really simple.
Yeah.
Oh.
I miss him. Enough with our dog. That won't be ours for long. It is 2 minutes till. It is 1 minute before the hour. And this is your co-host saying, peace out. I'm going to bed, Ninja.
Want to thank you for hanging out with me.
If I had a choice, I wouldn't have.
I'm sure we'll get you.
I said that wrong. I said that wrong.
Sure.
I meant to say you. I meant to say I didn't have a choice.
I'm sure we'll get you to hang out a little bit tonight before we get Izzo on the show and everything. So looking forward to having you back on tomorrow night, hanging out with us, and you enjoy the rest of your evening, even though you're getting ready to go to bed. And I will be over there a little while, and I'll make sure that you're up 6 a.m. and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and ready to go.
Yeah, I need to do my makeup today. And not today. Sorry.
That's because this morning was 5:40. This morning was 5:45 in the morning, and you usually weren't feeling that 5:45 stuff this morning.
Oh, I know.
Oh, and also, before you get off the air, I want to make this announcement real quick. I want to once again tell you how strong you've been. For those that don't know, Shorty decided last Wednesday that she was quit smoking, and so 5 days strong without any cigarettes, without any nicotine, and my hero. It was one of those things that, out of respect for me and my beliefs on that she went ahead and made the courageous leap once again to stop. She'd done once before, but this time she's doing it as a permanent thing, and I just want to congratulate you so far on 5 strong days, and I'm proud of you, and definitely my hero for making this step and doing this.
Mhm.
Mhm. You have a good night. I'll talk to you in a little while.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep. Bye.
Peace out.
In all seriousness, though, I am proud of her. It was one of those things that cancer runs in my family. My mom, just this week alone, went back and, did her checkup. And so far, everything's good with that. And both my children have allergies and asthma and stuff and can't be around it. And it's just one of those things that as we get an inch closer and closer to our wedding date, March 27th, it's one of those things that she knew had to come to an end, that she had to stop. And she knew that she needed to do it well before our date so that there was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And she's been very strong. Yes, it's made things tense at times in the CJ Sports household, but nothing that has obviously caused enough friction that we're still talking. And as a matter of fact, we talk on the show together. So, but I know how tough it is, as I quit 9 years ago myself, and so I know it's not the easiest thing. I know that it's a lot more mental than anything else, and you got to have a strong mentality going into it, and the reason has to be important enough to you to want to quit. If it ain't that important, or if there's not an important reason, you're not going to. And she knew that I was wanting to give her the one thing that she really wanted, and that's, a wedding and happiness and a faithful, honest, truthful relationship and marriage. And she knew in order for that to happen, she had to quit, and it was that important to her. And so I definitely appreciate it. I definitely applaud her, and I pat her on the back or say every day and tell her how proud I am, and just glad she's doing it. Seems that we had an interesting little scuffle yesterday with the Texas Rangers and the Toronto Blue Jays. More the reference to the fact that Jose Bautista took a good shot to the face. I don't know. Watching baseball players fight is always funny to me. Like, one, it looks so unnatural. Like, you always got that one player that is act like he's getting ready to swing, and you see him winding up. You see the other player trying to show his manhood and be there, but at the same time, you see him kind of backing up because he ain't wanting to take a punch. Neither one of these guys are really wanting to fight. Unfortunately for one of them, the other one made a movement like they were wanting to fight, and so he's already committed to doing something, so he don't look like a damn pansy. You don't want to look like the pansy, so you're going to go toe-to-toe, and it just all looks so unnatural. There's nothing about a fight among baseball players that has ever looked natural to me. I don't know. You got a bunch of testosterone wanting to show the bigger man while trying to make sure that their face is not hit and there's no severe kind of injuries at all because you don't want to screw up your season or screw up, or screw up your contract. So, I mean, there's just something that is so unnatural looking about baseball players fighting. It's just, I don't know, it's ridiculous. And the whole Jose Bautista and this whole scuffle, it was nothing short of it. Jose took a pretty good shot, was back in the lineup today. He's the best player wanted to go. I get that. Thought it was interesting. He was kind of talking about really need to be a bigger man if you're going to do something. And I'm like, dude, you took a shot to the face. I don't know what else you. I don't know how I understand he had knocked you out, but you didn't get a shot in. You took one. And thought that was interesting. I'm sorry, but if I just got punched in the face, a pretty good shot on national TV and is played over and over on ESPN and every other sports outlet, and it's probably been talked on almost every talk show today, I don't know if I really would say too much. I think that, you know what, I made that slide, I turned around, I looked like I was tough. He got the shot in. I'm going to keep quiet because I got put in my place on national TV, and instead you kind of have some remarks. And I don't know if that was me. I think that I just would have put my tail between my legs and just went with that. You win some, you lose some. I've been part of mine. Fortunately for me, I've been more of the win some category, and fortunately for me, most of my scuffles and my anything has been while I've been working as a bouncer, and obviously. Well, I want to say obviously, but fortunately for me, most of the places I have worked, there's always been somebody else. Not every time, but most of the time that I've worked, there's always been at least one other bouncer. And fortunately for me, and the people person that I am, and I've had a lot of people that have had my back. And, even when my last gig that I worked, and I did for about a year over at Yesterday's, even though I was the only bouncer, the owner was there, and he was a pretty small guy. I would say $140 maybe soaking wet, probably 5'8", 5'10", not a very big, I don't know, maybe a little bit tall. He might be 6 foot. But he about $140, $150 soaking wet kind of scenario. But fortunately for me, at the time there was one male bartender, and anything went on, he was quick to come around. There was a couple servers that, they weren't big, but they were athletic. One of them even wrestled, so they were quick to help out. And there was quite a few regulars that if something went down, they were down to get involved and help. When I worked at Chapel Hill, most of the places, there was always at least one other bouncer. But I always had the same scenario. I always had a group of people, because of the people person I am, that something ever went down, they were going to be part of it. They were going to help. I think the only time I was really, I really came out on the bad end, well, I did come out on the bad end, involved the time I was with my ex, and why I went back and we stayed together after that, I really don't know. But come to find out, it was a period of time she had cheated on me for about a year, but I didn't know, even that night I didn't know that she had been. And we got invited to a party by the guy she was hanging out, and it was supposed to be one of those things. We'll come over, bring him with you. We'll all get to be friends. That way he knows, there's nothing going on, that we're all just cool, we can all be friends. And so it was De La Hoya, I think it was his last fight. He ended up losing, and everybody else was drunk, and things were just getting a little too rowdy. And I just felt that something was about to happen. And I went out back and told her, I was like, look, we need to get rolling. And she went inside. She said, just meet me around front. When I got around front, there was about 6 dudes. And things from there got pretty ugly. I got into my car real quick, but they were quick to follow me in. And I gripped onto the steering wheel, so they got a bunch of face shots in. I held onto the steering wheel so I could not be drugged out and really get beat down. And eventually got to a point where I could get my keys out of my pocket, not out of my pocket, but to a point where I get my keys into the steering column and get the car started. And started the car, threw it in reverse. Luckily, there was not a car parked behind me. They actually held onto my driver's side door and actually pulled it all the way to the front corner panel. And I ended up whipping the car around and got out of there at that point. I ended up breaking my nose, but that was really the only raw deal that I've ever had. I've not really got into many one-on-one fights. Fortunately for me and my size, I've not had to get into too many of them. Either I, just didn't get into the situation. I'm one of those, and a lot of people come at me because of my size. I can't believe you didn't do this to this person, or I can't believe you didn't handle this situation this way. Just prime example, when Shorty had, walked out of her job, a lot of it had to do with what her boss had said to her, which, just words, and she took care of it. But, I was approached, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? And, Shorty and I both agreed, why put myself in a position I get locked up or get in trouble by the law or have to pay a fine or, or damages or anything on something that she was wanting to leave anyway. They were just words, and there was nothing really significantly done. So it's funny, though, a lot of people just assume, and so they question it. I'm the type that I pick and choose my battles. I don't fight a lot of fights. I think that they're pointless. I look for the battles. I look long term, and do I want to go this route or do I want to go that route? Because where's the end result to most likely come out, and what result do I want to see? There's a reason why I've never been locked up. There's a reason why I have only been at the wrong end of one deal. because I pick and choose my battles wisely. And, I protect my own, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of things I do let roll off my chest that normal people or a lot of people would not. And people can say what they want to say about it. I'm happy with life, so it really don't make me no difference. But I've been part of quite a few scuffles, obviously. I've been pinned up on and straddling my own passenger side rear view mirror, rear view mirror before, which was really interesting because the whole time I'm being pinned up against the car. The only thing I'm concerned about is the mirror. I didn't want my passenger side mirror to fall off, as I'd already had the driver's side mirror fall off on it wasn't that car, it was a previous car, but same brand and same make, by just accidentally bumping into it. And so here I am straddling my mirror, as it was one of those things that I kicked a patron out, and when I went to go escort them out the front, there was a little gate walk-in area, and he decided he was going to grab those bars and not let me get him through the gate. And I saw it coming, and normally what I do is either I put them in a full Nelson and their hands are up in the air and their feet are just dangling, or I would put them in like a bear hug where their arms are just stuck flapping to the side, so I didn't have this issue. But this is one of those instances. I think I got close enough to the gate, and I let him go, and I went ahead and kind of pushed him out, and that's when he grabbed it. And anyway, I went to go give him one good heave-hove, and what had happened is, because of the weight and everything, we spun around, and so then I went backwards into the car just to shift to the body weight and momentum. And he never swung at me. As everybody kind of jumped into this scenario, there was other bouncers from other clubs coming down the sidewalk. We had two other bouncers that particular night. They just kind of waited and made sure that there was enough people that got in between me and him. That way, when I went to push him off, they all jumped in between. That way, there wasn't a sucker punch involved. And but usually, no, I never got the raw end of the deal, and that's just the way it all worked out. But it wasn't too many just actual fights. It just work-related stuff. But the raw, when I did get the raw end of the deal, or did get them, or I took it as it was. You got the best of me. So why am I going to run my mouth afterwards? I think that's the biggest thing, and my whole point of this whole thing with Jose Bautista. He got the better end of you. Why talk garbage? Why run your mouth? It's on national TV, regardless if he knocks you out or not. And whether or not you feel it would take a bigger man to actually, accomplish that. You got punched on national TV. You got punked. Take it like a man. Don't sit there and run your mouth and make it seem like you're Billy Bad Butt there, because it was already proven on national TV that you're not. And somebody got the best of you. I mean, I think the biggest night of the night I got jumped, I think the biggest thing I'm thankful for, and, I had never once, run my mouth about it. I mean, the best, I guess I tracked what I was going to say. They got the best of me. I was thankful and thanked my lucky stars that I was not drug out of the car. I think the only thing that I ever bring up about it is I'm thankful for the fact that if anybody did, and I got to pet somebody, if anybody ever did mess with Shorty, looking at my size, they would have to be certifiably insane, because that is my mama, actually my mommy, I don't call her mama, I don't call her mother. If I text and say mother, my mom knows that something is up, and I need to be text or called at that point. I refer to my mom as mommy. It is mommy. My mommy this, my mommy that. Yes, 38 years old, and it is still mommy. But you don't mess with my mommy, you don't mess with my 4 kids, and you don't mess with Shorty. Anybody else, you kind of fair game. You better hold your own. I got your back if need be, but those 6 people that you're not. No, it's not happening. But I never talked smack about it. Yes, my nose was broke. Yes, there was like 6 of them. Like, it wasn't a one-on-one fight, but it was the best was gotten of me. The only thing that I ever really say about it is I'm thankful that the only person that was bigger than me, and at that point in time, I was only like 205, 210. I was still in really great shape. It was probably the second best shape of my life. 2 years ago when I was 250, benching 460, that was the best shape of my life. At that point in time, I was about 210. I was benching 300, and I want to say a little bit more 300, but I know at least 300. And I was that point in time, I had a 4-pack. I was close to that in my life, back to a 6-pack. I was in really good shape. But the only person bigger than me, they had left like 5 or 10 minutes before this all went down. And so that person might have been able to drag me out if he would have got involved. Now, he didn't seem like the type that, regardless of what was going down, that he would get involved. He seemed more like the person that would try to diffuse the situation. But, yeah, that's usually, if I talk about it, that's the only thing that I bring up is the fact that I'm glad that he was gone. But, you know, even though there was multiple of them, the best of me was gotten that night. I knew I shouldn't have been there. I went there to try kind of prove a point. You know, this is my girl, and you know, I'm not going nowhere. Blah blah blah. You know, that ended up killing their relationship. Because after that, she never had nothing else to do with him again, or at least as far as I know of. But he kind of put his own nail in that coffin after a year-long affair. That, you know, if he would have just kept his cool, that who knows how long that would have gone on for. But I didn't turn around and talk smack. Is the whole point. And sorry, Batista, you're a good player. I have no issues with you. And hell, you're one of a handful of athletes that actually took the time to follow me back. And so, you know, I have respect for that. But you were gotten the best of in a fight on national TV that has been replayed a gazillion times and has been on social media for like 2 days straight or 24 hours straight of trending. You keep your mouth shut and just take the punches. That's kind of how that's supposed to play out. Oh, Lord. This Wi-Fi is just, like, super incredibly slow. Like, it is horrible. We was going to do a show. I forget what night that was. What, Wednesday night? Tuesday night, one of the nights last week. Monday night. Because Mike was going to come on the show last Monday. And I could not get anything to open up. It just kept refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. Kind of like what it's doing right now. So here between Monday and tonight is I was already on the show before it really started getting to this point where it's just not wanting to do anything again. That's one of the things that I can't wait for when Shorty and I do get married. We get back into the same house as having cable and having Wi-Fi. high-speed Wi-Fi. And yeah, that was one of the things Shorty did make sure of while we lived together, the whole time that we lived together, is that I had plenty of internet juice, and I had cable to watch anything and everything that I needed to watch. And so I definitely can't wait for that. All the sports that I keep missing and places that I have to venture around to go see if I want to catch different things. It sucks at times not be able to sit at home and watch sports in the privacy of my own house, or be able to catch all the events that I need to catch or want to catch. Definitely excited about that. Of course. It makes me wonder when another race team is actually going to step up and make this so it's not a Joe Gibbs domination season. Like, at some point, some team has got to show up. I just can't see race fans, and it sucks because it's great racing. I mean, it really is. The action that we're getting to see this year. But unfortunately for NASCAR, it's been a Joe Gibbs race dominated season, and it makes it tough. It makes it tough for fans to want to sit there and watch the same team and the same drivers to win week after week after week. It just is. And honestly thought after a few weeks that we would start seeing some of the other team shows, step up. I mean, we've seen different teams kind of step up, but none of them that are a serious threat of winning. Like Roush Fenway, for example. I mean, Trevor Bayne. That's been more than one occasion that we've seen him in top 5, top 10 situations. And, Roush Fenway's finding the way. Stanhouse finished 14th. Greg Biffle didn't have a bad finish either. I wouldn't say top 20. He might have been back there around Dale Jr. thinking about it. But they've definitely improved themselves over the last few weeks, but they're still not a threat to, win a race at this point. But I honestly thought that your Stuart Haas and your Hendrick Motorsports, we would have seen these guys step up. And honestly, I mean, it seems like Kurt Busch has stepped up. It seems that I know Kevin Harvick's finding himself getting wrapped up in a couple incidents the last couple of races, but Kurt Busch is finding himself up front. Danica is getting to be a little bit more consistently in the teams versus where she was finishing in. But it's like Kevin Harvick's kind of fell off. Tony Stewart's never found himself. And you kind of say the same thing about Stuart Haas Racing. I mean, Casey Kane is so hit and miss. Or I'm sorry, I don't know what I just said. Hendrick Motorsport. Casey Kane's so hit and miss. Jimmy Johnson, outside of his win, they really haven't that phenomenal season. Dale Jr. the last few weeks, he's kind of fell off with those incidents he's been in. Chase Elliott's really the only one that's been consistently stepping up and having really consistent finishes. And these are the teams that Penske God, it seems like they're in it, and obviously Brad Keselowski's win a couple weeks ago was the only, blemish in the whole Joe Gibbs Racing dominance over the last God knows how many weeks. But, I mean, that was Talladega, and he just happened to be out front when that final caution came out. I don't know if he would have held off a Kyle Busch run there in 3 and 4 or not. Who knows? But even Penske has not been even Penske's not really, been stepping up the way that they need to step up. Don't understand the struggles of Tony Baldwin racing and Cup, no matter who drives. I think that's more probably, one, the drivers they have had, and you would have to come on here and tell me what drivers they have had that are great. I mean, the drivers that I can even think off the top of my head have been, I don't know, average to above average, but none of them have really been great. There might have been even a couple that were good. Blaney being one of them that were good drivers, but I can't think of any that, I guess, in my opinion, are great. And then, of course, the funding. I'm not sure, what their funding situation is, but, I mean, obviously they're not spending the money that Hendrick or Penske or Joe Gibbs Racing or any of those are. So it's kind of the product you get from the budget you spend, in my opinion. Every once in a while you get one that slips through the crack, but I guess until Tommy Baldwin Racing puts, I don't know, somebody that finishes in the top 15 or 10 or 15 in points in their car, I think we kind of see what we're going to, what we should get out of them. They said, they've had some above average and even good drivers, but nothing that stands out that is great, that you kind of scratch your head and wonder why the hell is that driver even running for that team, or why is that team not winning races kind of scenario. I mean, I think, honestly, Blaney was the only one that I can remember off the top of my head and I believe Blaney, if I'm not mistaken, Blaney ran for him. I believe they were, that was Tommy Baldwin Racing. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong as well. But he was the only one that really gave them a legitimate shot at winning on a regular basis, if I recall correctly. If I'm recalling correctly, him. But I don't agree, and the message that came through for the listeners, the equipment should be carrying the driver at this point. I don't necessarily agree, because to me, NASCAR, the cars are meant to be equal. It's the drivers that make the difference. Yes, it's not necessarily true, and you speak of highly funded and not funded teams, and so the quality of one car is not going to be necessarily as good as the other quality, because some is going to have to, some teams are have to, take shortcuts and, not get as high quality. They might get I don't even know a cheap wrench versus a Craftsman wrench, but, the same kind of, get a cheap oil filter versus a high, just different product. I'm just using those as an example. To me, it's kind of like using, the gas station brand oil versus buying the Havoline. You get a lot of people that buy the gas station brand because it's $5 a quart versus paying $8 because it's marked up so high at the gas station. There's that kind of scenario, but these cars got to go through the same inspection and are basically supposed to be created to be equal. That the talent behind that wheel, especially with this new downforce package, to me, the drivers and the quality of the drivers is the majority of, the reason why a team wins or doesn't win. I'd be willing to say 80 to, I don't know, about 75-80% of what puts that team into victory lane. I know there's other factors, crew chiefs, the funding, the spotter, the actual crew itself, but there's only one person out there driving 500 miles. And there's only one person on that whole team that is talented enough to be behind that wheel. So, to me, you know, if you only put average drivers in your car, you're only going to get average finishes. If you're going to put the best drivers in your cars, you're going to get, you know, the best finishes. And that's why right now you have Joe Gibbs Racing being the dominant team that they are. There's a reason why Stewart Haas Racing won them a championship with Kevin Harvick. He's one of the best. Even as dominant as Joe Gibbs Racing has been, and even as dominant last year as Martin Truex win with the run he had, Kevin Harvick's numbers were astronomical. And, you know, he still finished second in the points, you know, for the season. And, you know, there's a reason for that. He's one of the best drivers out there in NASCAR right now. And, you know, that's why we saw the run we saw out of Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, you had the best driver and, you know, the two best drivers, say, you know, at different points of their career, at least, with Gordon and with Jimmy Johnson. So, you know, as much as, you know, you're talking about the equipment should be carrying the driver, the way I understand the rule book is all these cars are supposed to be created equal. It's what the man behind the wheel does with it. And, you know, and that's just what that's how I believe. And that's why I think it's important that, and why we have so many young drivers on, is getting to know, you know, what paths should be taken. And I feel having a dirt background is very important, to be able to start your career off in the go-karts and work your all the way up, to be involved with, you know, working on your car and not just be that person that shows up right before qualifying or right before practice. There's a lot of factors that help build a race car driver, and all those factors and all those components are just as important as the other. And those that are good, those are the ones that win. Every once in a while, like I said, you have one slip through the crack. I remember David Reagan. I think he's just an average driver. He managed to slip through and win one in Talladega for Front Row Motorsports. Now, I know he also won one with Roush Fenway. I can't remember the scenario, how that played out. I don't know if that was because of a wreck or because of weather, or if he just legitimately had a good car that day. I can't remember the 6 UPS machine. But, I mean, he was just an average driver that managed to slip through. And there's been a couple others that Eric Almirola, to me, I don't know, he's going to be above average, but maybe even good. I think what Eric Almirola is doing over at Richard Petty Motorsports is really good. That's Richard, and yeah, that's a prime example for me. Richard Petty Motorsports, they constantly hire because of what they can afford. And, you know, once upon a time, then there's almost going under and having to, you know, combine with Abraham or whatever, Ray Abraham. I think that's what's killed Richard Petty Motorsports for so long, is all they could afford was average to maybe above average drivers, and that's what they put in the product, because that's all they can afford. And yeah, I think that, you know, Brian Scott being there, even though he's coming with his own sponsor, that's just an average driver. And I'd be surprised if he ever won a race. He might be one of those that slipped through, but honestly, if he didn't have his father's sponsorship, I don't think that Brian Scott still to this day would be running in the Sprint Cup Series, unless it was for, you know, even a lower funded team versus, you know, the quality of drivers that we've seen at Richard Petty Motorsports. But to me, that's right there a prime example. We watched him with Tasmanian dude. God, I could see his face driving the number 9 car. Good God. The drivers that he has put in that we've seen for the longest time on Richard Petty Motorsports have been average to above average at best drivers. So I can't necessarily agree with it being with the equipment, because to me a lot of it, it kind of goes back to, Days of Thunder for me, when Tom Cruise is standing there talking about stock car as stock, that, and the guy that played Harry Hyde kind of got offended, and he's like, look, I ain't trying to offend you, but stock cars are sports created, designed to make the cars to be created to be equal, and it's, the strategy, the teams, the drivers that kind of dictate the outcome of the race. And so, I've always had that mentality with it, that these cars, these templates, what they do in the air tunnel, the wind tunnel is, to create, the consistency across all the brands to make them all equal. It is up to the drivers. I know it looks kind of funny when we're watching Joe Gibbs Racing, and to include Martin Truex, dominate. Sometimes you want to question, are these cars all created equal, or does Toyota have something on it? But then you look at the rest of the Toyotas that are suffering, and the only really one that's sticking out is that Joe Gibbs Racing is the one affiliated with Joe Gibbs Racing. But there's a reason why Joe Gibbs went out and bought, I'm not going to say bought, but signed the best drivers that you could possibly sign. Probably was Matt Kemp, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch. And he assembled an all-star cast of drivers. Like, there's no question in that. Proven winners, proven champions. Hell, even Carl Edwards tying Tony Stewart. The season Tony Stewart got credit for winning the championship because he had more wins in the chase. All these drivers have proven quite a lot in their career. Looks like Golden State is starting to get highlights on the Facebook. Like I never get to anything else to pull up anymore. They're up by 13 a little while ago, so it looks like the Warriors are really starting to do their damage. Looking forward to tomorrow night with Cleveland and Toronto. Like I said earlier, I think Toronto gets swept. If not, maybe 5 games. And I hope Cleveland does sweep them. Golden State, if they don't sweep, at least at the most only go 5 games. That way, there's not, we had a week's rest, and that's why I want it to be as equal as possible and as relatively close as possible. But at the same time, I definitely don't want Cleveland playing any unnecessary games. We can't afford any injuries this year. But definitely tomorrow night, looking forward to that at the Quicken Loans Arena. Very, very excited to see the possibility of the Cleveland Cavaliers bringing one home. So. Oh goodness. Kind of wondering if Shorty fell asleep with the phone on, or she's actually sitting there. Shorty's still in the studio. So I just put the studio back on. Thought that was humorous both times I saw it, but I was sitting there, where she's actually just fell asleep and just fell asleep with the headphones on. Or she's actually sitting there listening to me ramble on. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, 110 Nation Sports Show. We got Shorty joining us early on in the show. We got our very own NHL expert, Izzo, joining us at 10:30 to talk about the NHL finals, or NHL playoffs. I'm very excited about having him on the show, very excited about getting caught up. Unfortunately, when the had no phone service last week due to everything, the job change and everything. Didn't have an opportunity to call him, and I did message him when I was somewhere where I had Wi-Fi. I forgot all about it, and when I got out to where I was at, obviously I couldn't use my phone no more. So the next day when I was when I got here and was able to get on Messenger, I saw his messages, are we on tonight? What's going on? Like, he was all kinds of confused. I had to message him to let him know what was going on. I did feel bad about that, but very excited about getting caught up. So now we get 2 weeks worth of talk. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to having him back on the show. Got to make sure that I thank Snafu Seasoning. Make sure you guys check them out at snafuseasoning.com. That's SNAFU. For no other reason to spell out Snafu Seasoning. I like doing that part. It's SNAFU seasoning.com. The official sponsor of the Thursday night show, Racing with Big Sweat. Also, got a shout out to Fit for Life. Make sure you guys check them out on Facebook. Fit for Life. Check them out at www.fitforlife for the nearest location to you. 24/7, 365. I always have accessibility to my gym. Yes, my gym. Make sure you guys check them out. Don't be stuck at home and not be able to get your gym on because your gym does not give you 24/7, 365 accessibility to working out. So make sure you guys check them out as well. Don't forget, you guys can find us on Twitter. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. You can also check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also check our blog site out, www.110nation.com, for all the latest we got going on over there. Don't forget, schedule change for the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, Monday through Wednesday. We'll be right here at the 110 Nation Sports Show, 9 p.m. Also, Thursday nights, we got at 9 p.m. as well, Racing with Big Sweat. Your host, Steve Billmeyer. You guys can check him out. You also can check out his Facebook group, NASCAR and Other Racing. Friday nights, we got Hot Laps with Stats. Your host, Mike Perricone. You guys can check that out, 8 p.m. He's also, you can also find him over there at NASCAR and Other Racing. Does a lot of posting and hanging out over there as well, so make sure you guys check them out. Also, you could Saturday at noon, we got the Happy Hour Garage. Those ladies do a great job. Shannon Yoakum and Maureen Kelly. Love having be able to rebroadcast their show over here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Got a lot of great things going on, so make sure you guys stay tuned in. I think we're about to jump out of here. I know we still got a few minutes left, but I think we're about to jump out of here. I got to get the show downloaded, sent over to the I-95 Sports Radio Network. Got a shout-out to them. I'm looking forward to getting the show over there so they can play this back on their network tomorrow. But I got to get this downloaded, and I got to get over to Shorty's. So it says she likes to sleep, and so if I'm not there to wake her up in the morning, she's not getting up in the morning. So we're just hoping there's not too many Friday and Saturday morning shifts that she's got to work early. And we think that she's going to mainly have second shift, which is good. I mean, she ain't going until like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're hoping there's not too many 7 o'clock morning ones, because either she's going to have to get up and stay up when I get up, or she's going to have to hope and pray that she actually wakes up after I leave. So. But got to get this downloaded. I got to get over there so I can get me some sleep. I got to do that. Then I got to watch kids. Then I got to go to work myself and put a full day in and be back here tomorrow night. Get in here probably about 8:30, so about 30 minutes before showtime, and do this all over again. So get this downloaded, get this sent over. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out. That's hung out. Nice little crowd hanging out in the studio listening. Thank you guys. I want to thank everybody at home that's just catching us that way. Don't forget, like I said, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. be back at it here. Make sure you guys tune in.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110 Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
Hey Raleigh, paying too much for your wireless bill is not cool, which is why millions of people have switched to Sprint this past year. To celebrate, you can save 50% on most Verizon rate plans when you switch to Sprint. All this on the Sprint network, which is faster plus more reliable and has better coverage than ever. Why wouldn't you switch today? Hurry, visit a Sprint store or Sprint.com to learn more. Limited time only, offer coverage not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, surcharges, add-on, and premium content. Subject to new line port-in, activation fee, and credit. See website for eligible plans. Savings until March 31st, 2018 after pay full amount. Restrictions apply.